Welcome, everyone, to tonight's Trisbrina Show.
Yes, yes, yes. Today we're talking about focus, feelings, and flourishing like a superhero. We're going to be exploring what does it look like when you use the transformative power of combining focused intent with positive emotions so that we can thrive and manifest success in all areas of life.
And we'll also touch on what happens when you don't do it. Because that contrast is really good. So we hope you're all doing amazing tonight. Thank you for tuning in, whether you're tuning in live or on a replay. And thank you. Looking forward to this. Looking great tonight. Bowing in. We see the comments. We're streaming live onto Facebook and YouTube, and then the replay goes on our website.
Well, we decided to go purple tonight. Actually, we didn't. Sabrina did, and I just got to put on the nice purple. So thank you, my dear, for always picking out my wardrobe for the show. We're excited to talk about this because this is kind of all we talk about. You know, thoughts and feelings and how those affect the way that you flourish in your life. And do you want to kick it off, or you?
Sure.
Okay, cool.
So tonight we're talking about focus, and I'm going to kind of say the power of focus and the power of feelings, and then this result of flourishing. And you know how you can hear the same thing over and over and over and over, and then all of a sudden one day you're like, oh, I get it.
Totally lands differently.
And then like a year later you're like, oh, I thought I got it. Now I really get it. Well, that's how I've been feeling with the power of focus. Like really feeling that the power of focus, when combined with a powerful emotion and a powerful feeling, is everything. That's what determines what flourishes. What flourishes might be something amazingly beautiful that smells lovely, but it might be a pile of poo. Right? It totally depends on the focus and the feeling. And I just kept hearing that. It's probably Bob Proctor. Or maybe the book Illusions, The Adventures of a Reluctant Messiah, where they started saying, what you focus on expands, and that became such a little catchphrase. What you focus on expands, what you focus on expands. If you really think about that, and with tonight's topic about being a superhero of focus, feeling, and flourishing, we are superheroes with this amazing power that what we focus on expands. That's the superhero power.
Focus is such a hard. It's much harder to focus these days, have you noticed, than it was when you were younger. Because we live in a world of technology that is so fast and information overload that our poor little brains are sifting and sorting through so much more data than they've ever had to sort through before. And it's causing scatteredness, distraction. Some folks say that distraction is the new pandemic because people are struggling so much with focus. It's so challenging.
Well, I really like this concept of that I am a superhero of focus no matter what. So what would that look like if I animated it? It might look like I focus on a chair and it becomes a whole living room suite of furniture. I focus on a poop. It becomes a big old pile of poop, right? I focus on getting a new job. And what's the feeling that I add to it? I'm excited. I'm excited about new adventures and new opportunities. What then flourishes? And we'll break this all apart. But what then flourishes is an incredible amount of opportunities for expansion in new ways as far as a job goes. Focus on a job, and the feeling that I attach to it is there's not enough jobs, there's not enough work, they don't pay enough. What happens? I don't see any opportunities. It doesn't happen. It takes this incredible, whatever you focus on expands, but it expands based on the feeling, right? Because two people could focus on the same thing. Two people could focus on a $10 bill. I'm really focused on it. You're really focused on it. let's say I have a positive feeling. What's going to happen? My $10 is going to turn into $1,000. Somebody else focusing on a $10 bill, if that feeling is not enoughness, it's never enough at the end of the month, that $10 bill is going to expand into more limiting beliefs and more situations where there's not enough financial abundance.
Well, let's take the premise of what you focus on expands. It's very similar to when people say where your attention goes, focus, your energy flows. And if you keep flowing the energy to that, then it will expand based on the vibration of that energy. So if you are focused on something and the energy or the feeling behind that focus is of abundance, of expansion and gratitude, then yes, of course, it's going to expand into that which you want and that which lights you up even more. And the person who's just focusing on the $10 from a place of, I only have $10, I need to get $10, they're probably going to limit themselves at always just getting $10. So if you can take something that you love and focus on it and be willing to say, I am so appreciative of this, I love this so much, and I'm inviting expansion, then that energy is the through line and it can expand. So what you focus on not only expands, but what you focus on with feeling is what keeps showing up. So there's a little nuance there, right? It's like if you want more of something, you've got to create the right energy and tone and room for it to breathe without bringing any of the lack, limitation, scarcity energy into it. When I get over there, then I'll be happy. When I get that much money, then you'll get that much money and still be unhappy. We've heard this. We know this. We see it in the movies, right? You see it in New Year's resolutions. They focus on the thing, and it doesn't come, or they get it, and then they feel empty.
See it in your own life.
You lose your drive. It's not enough. Yeah. And then we suffer.
So we could even talk about an example having to do with health and vitality, because so many of our students and members of the Satori community really have a great interest in feeling great in their bodies. Feeling great in their bodies as the decades increase, the vitality also increases. Right. So let's say that there's a situation with the knee, right? So sometimes when you're moving around, there's like recently I played tug-of-war way too hard with our puppy, and I felt like the bottom half of my arm and the top half got overly stretched.
That's a strong puppy.
Yeah, he is so freaking strong. So strong. Anyway, it has drawn my attention. It's drawn my attention at night with like putting a pillow under it, because I know it's a little tendon healing because it got pulled. So it is pulling my focus, right? So sometimes there's situations in your body that pull your focus. Oh gosh, my head hurts. Oh, my back hurts. Oh wow, that kind of arm hurts. So it's pulling my focus. That's fine. But what I have the choice and what I have the power of doing, and I can reclaim the power, is what feeling am I attaching to that. So I have consciously been choosing and rewriting and shifting into, I feel the sensations of my arm healing. It's getting stronger than ever. When my arm is completely healed, that tendon is going to be stronger than ever. And then I can play tug-of-war with Kingsley. Or, my arm hurts so bad. I'm older. I'm not sure how fast it'll heal.
Yeah, start adding worry
right?
to the equation.
So you add worry to it. It's going to end up flourishing in very different ways.
Like a weed.
Because what you focus on expands. So if I am concerned and worried and negative and looping, that is what I'm focusing on. I am a superhero of focus. So I'm this amazingly powerful creator that will create so many more things that are in alignment with that focus and that limiting belief, and that belief that I might not heal, which is a fear. Or, I hope you're really getting this, I can focus, the same area can be a focus, and I can focus on, I've got all these movements, I'm just going to be so sweet and tender. I might rest this body part because it's bouncing back. It wasn't used to playing tug-of-war. It's like a different mindset and a different feeling, and therefore what I focus on, I'm focusing on the healing that expands. But here's the great thing, that energetic vibration isn't just about the elbow. It isn't just about the arm. It trickles into and infiltrates other areas of my life. So when I can hold that focus with that positive feeling and that faith that only good things happen to me and I am taken care of and I am healing, that's going to affect so many other things in my life. Just like when I'm worried and concerned and looping and fearful and scared, it doesn't just affect my arm. It starts affecting other areas in my life. That's why some people say when it's good, it gets better and better, and when it gets bad, it gets worse and worse.
Yep. Well, not to drive this point home, but let's keep going.
Drive it, man.
Well, here's why I think it's important to drive it home. We have the forgettery, right? Stuff happens, we respond or react, and then we make it stronger based on our focus. So maybe the greatest commodity that we have is to develop our focus and presence. I see Mike Gale here. We spoke about this yesterday. The number one priority for him in his life right now is to increase presence. I shared that a few months ago, that I had a really beautiful, powerful meditation that showed me that in my life I'm present, but there's more expansion for presence. Maybe because there's more information and distractions and rings and dings and pings than there's ever been. But when I was younger and I was starting on my meditation focusing journey, martial arts had a lot of focus in it. I got pretty skilled at focusing, sparring, looking right in, very, very focused. Third eye meditation, very, very focused. And I'm so grateful that that's a muscle that I have. Like concentration is like building a muscle, like a concentration curl. I'm so glad that I built that when I was younger. But the world is different now, and I need new ways to cultivate and maintain and sustain my focus. So ask yourself the question, how focused do you feel? And we're not talking about a tight, restrictive type of focus that's coming from fear or overbearingness of fear being out of control. I would say call it a relaxed focus, an expansive focus that hones in on that which you love and that which you want more of. What do you need to cut away? Like sometimes people call it a digital diet, not the Trisbrina Show. But what maybe is pulling your attention and splitting your focus?
And causing you to have feelings you don't want to have.
And when that split happens, you can't hone in on what you love, and you're just inundated by too much information. So think about right now, what can I do to increase my presence and my focus so that I really can stay on track with the things that are important to me, your goals and your dreams. So that to me is like the most important starting point.
Yeah.
And then I would love for you to go so deep in, because you're so good at feeling. How do I stay connected to what I want to feel?
I don't feel.
You don't know anything about this. Like focus isn't enough. That's like a piece of the equation.
No, because you can focus with any feeling that you want. You can focus with rage. You can focus with hate. You can focus with grief. You can focus with shame.
And what we focus on and where we focus from.
And that's why when we've all probably had moments in our life where people just say, I'm just sort of stuck in this rut.
Stuck in a rut.
I'm stuck in a rut. I have felt that. And now I see that I had a focus and I had a feeling, and from having that feeling, it made me focus on that thing that was making me feel bad, which made me feel worse, and I did feel very stuck in a rut, which brings me to the point I was about to make. So what if something is happening in your life where the focus point, you're like, I can't reframe this. One of our students, her husband was playing golf, had a massive heart attack, was kept alive with CPR, got to the hospital. He was on life support for 3 or 4 days, just got off life support, probably no brain damage, not sure about his heart. She is dealing with so much information right now. Do you think if I told her, let's focus on your husband's heart and, like not worry, that's kind of asking too much for most people. So in that situation, I would say to give your brain a break, to give your energy a break, the highest thing to do is to absolutely not focus on any of that and to focus on something else. Focus on your grandchild for a moment, focus on your puppy for a moment, go for a walk, move your focus into something where you can find positive feelings, because it's kind of a trick. It's kind of a shortcut where when things like that are happening and you're like, you know what, I'm just going to take my dog for a walk, and you're taking the dog for the walk, and the dog is funny and they're doing all these things, and then you can't help but giggle, or you can't help but laugh, or you feel the breeze on your face and you see the roses blooming, and something happens and you actually start to feel good. You can kind of hold that goodness and borrow it to over here to that thing that didn't have it. So it's okay if sometimes this thing, every time I think about it, I feel like crap. And it's BS for you to tell me to feel any differently. Okay, great. Let's not think about that. Let's go do some arts and crafts. Let's do some gardening. Let's walk the dog. Let's go exercise. Let's do some swinging arms. Let's do some qigong. Let's do some breath work. Let's do all the Satori things to completely shift your energy. To completely shift your energy and completely shift your feeling. And when you are a different feeling human, and then you go back to focusing on that thing, you will have a different vibration.
There's some secret sauce, right? It's the law of substituting.
Yeah.
So feelings, nothing more than feelings. It's a feeling universe. So we're getting back what we're feeling.
Thank you guys for the comments in the chat.
Feelings are vibration. We're emanating feelings. We're internalizing feelings. So our physiology is interpreting what we're feeling. Like Sabrina was saying with her friend, dealing with that. Sometimes when a loved one is in a hospital or in critical condition, our bodies start to break down, and we want to stay resilient for our family and friends. So it's so important to do that self-care, to shift focus so that you can shift the feeling and keep your physiology healthy. So that vibration is either tearing your body down or sustaining your resilience. And then when you focus externally, so from internal to external, this is a listening universe. And this quantum divine field is picking up your vibes. And that vibrational set point becomes a magnet. And so you call like vibration to you. I know this is like 101 law of attraction, but I need 101 every day. I need to be reminded all the time. You know, like we might be smart people, but when it comes to forgetting, we're not so good, right? So that's why reminders and rituals and practices and these things are essential until they become ingrained. People are on a path of mastery. They want to be masterful of their emotions and their focus and their feelings, but that requires massive, consistent integration. And not everything in our environment, our world, and our family and our friends is supporting that. Not judging, just saying, this is a conversation that maybe you haven't had today with anyone else. Don't know. We try to have these conversations with our friends and other people. We certainly have them here. But not everybody's having this conversation. So even that makes it a little bit harder to sustain this awareness.
Yeah.
So go deep right now into what anchors can I put in place? Weekly Trisbrina Show? Yeah. What things can I put in place that help me to consistently remember what I'm focusing on, what I'm feeling, so that I can flourish?
And that I am a superhero of choices. I have the power of choice. I get to choose what I focus on, and I get to choose how I frame it, which affects the feeling, which, of course, affects the result, or what we were calling tonight flourishing. I wanted to make two comments. One, when Tristan said this is basically 101, we have this funny thing that we say, like somebody will say like, oh my gosh, I just woke up this morning and I realized none of us are getting out of here alive, right? And the only point is to sort of wake up to who we are, to be these beautiful hands of God and co-create and to spread kindness, to realize what we are and emanate that into each and everything that we do. So it's so satisfying to us and so satisfying to as many people as possible, and to live in a state of appreciation. And then we'll laugh and go, "Ugh, that's so like 101 because
It seems so obvious.
the basic is everything.
It is.
Like, I really love the saying, my Father and I are one. Like, I just love that. Or I am that I am. Whew, somebody can say, that's so basic. Man, that's been around for a long time. Well, try it on right now in this moment. And it is so powerful, and it is so huge, and it is so big.
I said in class on Tuesday night, we were in meditation. We just did a lot of Qigong, and I was just looking at all the chat, and I said to everybody, you guys are so beautiful. I was in a meditation. You're so beautiful. And then I realized, if I can say that to them, can they say that to themselves? And so I said,
Yeah.
I am, just change it. I am so beautiful. And you can feel a little reeling back, and maybe a little bit of a wall wants to come up sometimes when you say, I am so beautiful. Sounds conceited, sounds arrogant.
Shouldn't say that.
You shouldn't say that. And yet, who's thinking those things when you are a child of God and you are this in the image of the divine? How can you not be so beautiful?
Yeah.
So when you have the consciousness that's looking through at what this is, it's effortless to say, I am so beautiful. You know, the divine can say that about itself. So why can't we? So is that 101? You're so beautiful.
Yeah.
Thank you. You're so beautiful too. Hey, say it to yourself. That's now no longer 101.
Yeah. I remember, like, quite a few years ago, our friend Heather has a little daughter named Ellie who just tickles my fancy and makes me laugh so much, and she's already 6. So she was probably 2 or 3, and I went outside. It was early in the morning, and our house is just up slightly in the neighborhood, and where the sun comes up over there, we can see the colors. And this was just this incredible Texas sunrise. It was red and yellow and orange and absolutely crazy, like a painting, exquisite, miraculous. And so I went outside, took a picture, and I sent it to Heather. I said, maybe you want to wake up your girls and show them. And she said that Ellie had already seen it. And she said, Mommy, this is almost as beautiful as me.
Oh, wow. That's the divine still fresh coming through.
And I just loved
so
that. And I
beautiful.
did think in that moment, oh, please don't let anyone take that from you. Because we are the sunrise, and we are the sunset, and we are those colors, or we wouldn't be able to recognize the beauty of it.
Well, that's something to focus on. With deep feeling, really seeing ourselves. I have another little interplay with focus and feelings, and I call it feel back. So the way I look at that is I take action based on something that I want to focus on. I have a desire, I want to experience something or have something, so I move towards it with focus. And I bring feeling. And then I notice what happens from my actions and my feelings by stopping and checking in with, do I still feel that? So this is like a feeling check-in. Is it giving me all that I thought it would give me? And if the answer is yes, I keep moving towards it, and the feeling builds momentum. But if I move towards something with feeling and I don't check in and I just keep pushing, it might not be in alignment with what I was feeling, and then it no longer is joyful.
Yeah.
And it feels like an effort. So if there's things in your life that don't feel joyful anymore, like an effort, you probably were focusing on something. You probably had a good feeling about it, and something shifted. And that's because the external world brings information, and then you're evolving with that. Like you might have I had an idea to try to do something with this particular group of people. And so I was like, well, I think this is what I feels like I want to do this. I'm going to go ahead and do it. And I tested the waters. And I got feel back. So feedback. I got feel back. And I was, how did it make me feel doing that? And I was like, I really enjoyed this, but I didn't enjoy that. And I enjoyed that, not that. Let me refine my focus.
Yes.
And see if it changes the feeling. So they're working together. They're bi-directional.
Yeah.
So use them in that way. And then I refocused, and then the feelings went up. Now that's flourishing, this thing.
Yeah. I mean, those of you who have a business, it might be you love how you serve, but then you realize, but I like the way I feel with women, not men, or I like the way I feel with people over 60, or I like the way I feel with kids. Like how do you feel? And it can really help you navigate that. I love that. Well, we had a really fun talk this morning.
Yes.
Yes. And it was about, it had to do with, when you're focusing on something and you're trying to get clarity, how do you get clarity? Well, you question things. You put in different elements, or you change the variables so that you can look at things. And the same thing with feelings, like you change the variables if you want to look at it. And we were talking about disappointment and sadness and
lower vibrational feelings.
Or just and maybe lower vibrational, but at the same time there is no judgment on it. There is no, in my opinion, there is no God going, that's a lesser emotion than that. There's no scorecard. You should feel all that you feel. So when we talked earlier about focus and feeling, if you're focusing on something and you're feeling yucky, the number one thing that you don't want to do is you don't want to go, let me just put some perfume over that yucky feeling and pretend, because then you're trapping those feelings in your body and you're going to get sick, you're going to get sore, and it's going to create dis-ease. All right, so when you feel something, the best thing you can do is kind of acknowledge, I'm really freaking pissed off right now.
And you smiled.
I'm really pissed off, and it's not appropriate to yell at this 4-year-old. It's not appropriate to yell at this dog, so I'm going to go scream in a pillow. I'm going to go do some breath work. I'm going to go for a walk. I'm going to just ah! Don't keep it inside, and don't pretend to yourself that you don't feel it. That would be, I think, the biggest mistake I've made in my whole life, is that I thought certain feelings were wrong or bad. And now that all feelings are allowed, I've learned the power of feeling. The power to feel is my superpower. I want to feel really angry because I can take all that energy and I know how to slide it up here to really grateful. Give me the feeling. I want to feel,
better to feel than to suppress,
yeah,
right?
feel really jealous. That's okay. And then look at it and transform it, but take that energy and put it somewhere else. So we're not saying suppress. There's no feelings that are bad. There's like an honesty with yourself. I'm angry a lot of time. Working on it is much better than I'm not angry. Much better.
Yeah.
Anyway, we were talking about contrast this morning, and when things aren't going the way that you want them to. And somehow we got to this conversation about how life, we are always asking, whether we know we are or not, from our soul. We are asking God, we are asking the universe, and we are seeking answers to problems that we have, right? There's a situation, it doesn't feel right. I don't know why it doesn't feel right. And then when that answer comes and that solution comes, we're so grateful because we were in pain and we were in a contraction, and something provided a solution that made us feel incredible. And about how many times a day a solution and an answer comes, but we weren't even aware that there was a problem. So we can't appreciate it. So sometimes having the contrast, having the misfocus and the not so good feeling that leads to it flourishing in a way that you don't like, helps us really appreciate an adjustment of the focus. Oh, I needed the reader's 2.25. not 1.0. And then with that clarity and you have that different feeling, there's such a greater appreciation because you know the difference. It was so satisfying because you felt the struggle and you felt the contrast. So you can feel the expansion even more.
There's a saying that the solution lies inside of every problem. My karate teacher used to say, for every attack, there's a counter. Yin and yang, right? So just think about a problem that's been in your life right now. One thing that's either irritating you, that you wish was different, you want more or less of.
Okay, got it.
I'm sure there's plenty. I hope that you have a list, because that's called growth, the opportunity for growth. Now, can you get more curious about the solution that's inside that problem? Think about that, feel about that. There's something going on in my life right now. Can I get more inquisitive and curious as to, where's the solution going to come from? I'm very open because I know it exists.
And is the solution that it's not your problem?
For every attack, there's a counter. So it does exist. Not like, it's hopeless, I can't figure it out. It doesn't exist. No, it does exist. Abundance consciousness. For every problem, there is a solution. It lies inside the problem, which is so interesting. You have to go into the problem. You have to. I've noticed this with students.
So good.
The students that get stuck along the way learning something, but they ask really good questions, they get really good answers because they're in the contrast. They're trying to learn. They're trying to move through it, and they're crafting these wonderful questions, which are part of creating the opportunity for the answer, the solution. If you're not asking the right questions and getting curious, you can't attract the solution. If you're numb, if you're just getting stuck in inertia, throwing your hands up in the air, getting into states of apathy, the solution can't find you. It's looking to land. So get more curious.
It's like grace is looking for you.
Yeah. So to kind of get excited a little bit about the problem. Like, ooh, this is good because there's a solution for me in here. Become a solution finder.
I told Tristan also, we have such good morning talks.
We have great talks.
I said, as far as asking questions, you could feel, I could feel like, gosh, I'm really messed up. I have all these questions. But think about this example. Let's say Tristan demonstrated a physical movement. Maybe it was 15 seconds and said, any questions? I would ponder, how is your weight split between your feet? Is it 50-50, 30-70? How is your weight split? Is your weight more towards your heels or towards your toes? Are both knees slightly bent? Are your hips forward or slightly to the diagonal? And are your shoulders square to your hips or are they in a slight sense of torque? Where are your eyes focusing? Are they eye level? Are they down where you're... Like, I have a lot of freaking questions, right?
And why is that?
Because I'm more educated and because I know... I'm more curious, but I know more. I have experienced what it is to have weight 50-50 versus 30-70. I've experienced what it is to be too far forward or too far back.
It's signs of mastery.
So I feel like a lot of the people that follow us sometimes are hard on themselves because they feel like, I'm not getting ahead. I have all these questions. I'm just not sure. That can be a really good sign.
Yes.
It means that you have been curious long enough that you're aware of so much possibility.
And the solutions are coming.
So and you're sorting through and getting more specific in what's right for you. Like to be aware of all those possibilities and to be that curious and to want to refine your choices so specifically to be able to ask so that all the parts are in the right place, that absolutely thrills me. That absolutely thrills me. I want to have that much curiosity and insight into every area of my life to know those questions. Like when we're doing a group coaching session for one of our programs and we say any questions and there's none, we're like, okay, they're not far, they don't know enough to know what they don't know yet. We got to go further back than we realize, because the questions come from a greater understanding. Questions don't come from a lack of understanding. I think questions come from a greater capacity and a greater understanding. And never judge yourself for being curious. Like, bravo, Sabrina, that curiosity is what creates worlds. That's the spark of creativity. What is possible? What would that be like?
I went to this seminar years ago when I was studying something in a martial arts system that I absolutely fell in love with. And I'll give a shout out to the coach. His name's Tony Blauer. I think he's one of the world's greatest self-defense teachers that's ever walked the planet, maybe the greatest. And I loved his training metaphors, his acronyms, his frameworks, his skill, and the real world approach that he had, because I was looking to teach things to kids getting bullied and girls going off to college and people who are getting attacked, and not just the karate, like you could do for looks cool. I wanted to know that what I was teaching people would work if they ever got assaulted. And this guy found a way of training that was reality based. It wasn't like cage fighting. It was like we'd wear these suits and we'd replicate scenarios. And it is the best training to build real confidence and emotional inoculation to fear and stress. So I went to one of his seminars in Montreal, and I have been studying his work a lot. I'd never met him at this point. And I had met him one time very briefly. And anyway, I was in a group of other martial artists, probably about 40 or so of us there. And his name's Tony Blauer. As I
40?
said, 40, yeah. And a lot of law enforcement and military people as well were part of this particular one. And so Coach Blauer would teach, and every now and then somebody would have a question. And then he got to this one section, and he was, okay, any questions? Nobody raised their hand. And I'm like, I have so many freaking questions. I'm like, yeah. Okay, give him the question. Good question. I must have raised my hand 10 times, and they were all really good questions. And he's like, all right, that's enough. But the reason, it wasn't that I
believe that story.
It wasn't that I wasn't getting it. It was that I was getting it.
You wanted more.
And I was looking for that refinement and the mastery. And it was because I was so involved, was so enrolled in his way of doing things that it was becoming part of me. He even, one time he said, you're writing, you sound like me, right? So anyway, my point is, get involved, get enrolled, get excited. And all this is going to
About your life.
About your life. About anything you're focused on. Feeling.
About your husband, your wife, your kids, your grandkids, your house, your job. Like, be so involved.
Questions are fun.
Yeah.
You don't always have to get the answer right away.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a fearful questioning. It's like, oh, wow, and
because
they're coming.
Questions help you refine your focus.
Exactly.
Questions help you refine what you're
You
feeling. So the questions plus the feelings equals what flourishes.
There you go.
So you ask the right questions to yourself.
We're going to be getting a lot more questions.
Nicole. So you now ask yourself the questions, not us. So, but just like thinking about those things, with imagining, pretending, expanding, chewing on it, being yummy with it. What are you focusing on? Just to even ask yourself that. It's nothing anybody else can answer for you. And then looking at what you feel and why you feel that. Because if you can get more clear on what you want to focus on and how you want to feel about it, the flourishing's basically none of your business. It's just going to happen because that's the law of the universe.
There it is. So that's what we have for you today. Focus, feelings, and flourishing. We hope that this has
You are a
landed.
superhero.
Yep. We are reading some of these comments, like Debbie says, wow, that landed with a thud. there were a couple of nuggets there that could really move the needle for you. So thank you for being part of the show. Nicole is an expert in answering your questions. She runs a lot of things by us and then gives you guys the solutions.
Nicole is our customer support email.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks, Sabrina, for putting this out there for the day.
Yeah, I love the Trisbrina Show because we just get to talk to you about what we're talking to each other about.
In the kitchen.
So as we expand, the community expands, and it's just such a wonderful conversation to have. And we love all the comments, and we love the emails that we get when you guys watch the replays. So thank you so much for that. And I just want to say, those of you that attended the pain-free virtual live event 2-day workshop last week, phenomenal. We so appreciate your full participation in that and all the messages that you've been sending. It was like off the freaking chart. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Yes, and we are playing with ideas for more of those 2-day events, and we'll be sending out a survey so you can let us know ideas that you have.
And that's all, folks. Much love. See you soon.